and I'll be showing you how I bought this $400,000 real estate property live, step by step, in order to prove to you that buying a real estate property isn't as hard as you think. So if you're watching this video, you are probably somebody that wants to get into their next real estate property, or at the very least researching about it. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact 14-step process that you can use to be able to leverage credit and debt correctly. And if you miss any of these, you will be leaving money on the table. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Rios. I bought over 10 properties in just the last year alone, and I actually just bought a house in 2024 for my mom and my sisters. And the ironic part is that we all used to live in Section 8 together. So without further ado, let's get into it. Most deals usually take anywhere between 20 to 45 days to close. It just depends on what lender you use. But remember, it is extremely important to follow these steps in chronological order, or you will be leaving money on the table. Step number 1, start looking for properties. You can find properties using Zillow.com, realtors.com, or any other listing service that allows you to look for prices in your area. Or if you're lazy, just like me, you can actually look to partner with wholesalers who can send you leads consistently. Step number 2, prepare for the down payment. What I would recommend is to be able to save up at least 20% of the total purchase value in cash. So if the house is worth $100,000, you at least need to have 20%, which in this case is $20,000, to be able to cover 20% of the property. But also be aware that there are additional costs involved, like closing costs, that generally add up to 3% of the purchase price. So in this case, you need to have $20,000 plus an extra $3,000 to be able to close the deal entirely. Step number 3, check and build your credit. Usually it's a very important part in your home buying process because this actually dictates how much purchasing power and borrowing power you can have based on your credit. Usually, if you're going into an investment property, the better the credit you have, the better interest rate you will also receive, which in turn gives you better cash flow. And if you have bad credit, you will get a higher interest rate, which will also ruin your cash flow. So it's very important you check your credit report prior to checking with a lender or buying a real estate property so you know what you can and can't afford. I personally recommend having above a 700 plus credit score because what I've experienced personally is that lenders like to work with people who have positive payment history and a positive credit score. It's now time to speak with a specific lender. The key here is just to speak with lenders. The goal here is not to enter a legally binding contract that allows them to run your score or move forward with the property until you explore options. Ask questions, figure out what can you afford given your current situation. They will ask you questions such as your credit score, income, marital status, and more. And key tip, do not give them permission to run your credit score at all. The only thing you should be doing is exploring options given your current score. You can actually ask for a copy of your credit report with a specific lender, or you can download it at myfreecreditreport.com and ask the lender, what can you get approved based on your current credit score and given the answers that they ask you. After you have determined what you can and can't afford, now determine what type of property are you actually looking for. Do you want to look for a single family household, a duplex, a triplex, a multiplex, etc.? All of these different investment types will require different amounts of funding, which in turn will also affect your cash flow. So it's important for you to understand the specific type of property that you want so you know that based on what you can afford, do the numbers make sense. Number 6, property research. This is where you start identifying your cash flow. Usually a good rule of thumb is to be able to research what is the average market rent in that specific area you are looking for. The goal here is to understand what your mortgage will potentially be, what the rent will be, and calculate any additional miscellaneous expenses on top of the rent to know whether or not the property you're looking for is profitable. The things that I personally like to take into account is I like to take into account the mortgage payments, the insurance, property taxes, property management, and other miscellaneous costs on top of the mortgage to let me know whether or not if that property is going to add cash flow to my portfolio or not. After you have officially identified what type of property that you want and the numbers make sense, the goal here now is start getting pre-approval for lenders. Based on your previous explorations, you should have decided what lender is best to work with. So you'll be now filling out pre-approvals in which you will now allow them to run your credit report. But the key here that a lot of people don't understand is that you actually don't have to stick with that lender based on a pre-approval. A pre-approval does not mean that you are legally obligated to stick with them throughout the duration of your contract by buying the property. What you should be doing is taking this pre-approval and going to other lenders and getting them to bid and negotiate against each other. But again, when you begin this process, do not allow lenders to continuously pull your credit report. Again, you will be taking a copy of your credit report, giving them proof of pre-approval, and asking them if they can beat the rate. Some banks will be fighting for your business, and other banks who do not fight for your business, you know aren't a good fit and don't have your best interest at heart. So you will be leveraging your pre-approval, your credit, to be able to get the best deal and prioritize for a higher cash flow. Step number 8. Find a realtor, and now you're prepared to send offers. Ideally, this realtor should have your best interest at heart, and ideally, you should look for a realtor who has experience with actually buying real estate properties for themselves, because you want to speak with somebody who has actual experience in the field of people who actually buy real estate investment properties rather than just looking for a quick check. In case you don't know how some realtors are compensated, sometimes, depending on the state you are from, the sellers will be giving them a specific percentage to the realtor if they close that deal. In other states, the buyer, aka you, will be obligated to pay the realtor his commission fee. It's very important to understand what these fees are given your current state, because you don't want to run into an issue where it costs more money out of pocket and you don't have the money. And once you find a realtor who has your best interest at heart, he should be reaching out to you with details about the specific property. In this case, it should sound exactly like this.
Hey, what's up, Wadham?
Hey Chris, how's it going?
How you going? Good, bro. How are you?
Yeah, bro. So I got a pretty nice, sweet deal in Macon, Georgia. It's a total of 4 properties that are all like within the same zip code. So one of them is a 2-1 on Granada. Then we have Napier, which is a 3-1. And then we have West Napier. This one's interesting because it's a single-family house with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in the front. And then in the back, there's something called an ADU, which is like a detached unit, almost like an apartment. That's a 2-bed, 1-bath. And then you have West Napier, which is a 3-bed, 2-bath. So it looks like a pretty good deal because we're getting at $385. That's what we have it with the seller. And the total rents here are looking like West Napier. We can get around $1,250 to $1,350 in gross rent, Section 8. In Marion, we can get $1,300, so that puts us at $2,650. Plus Granada, it's a 2-bed, 1-bath, 2-bed, 1-bath in this area. Conservatively, I like to run the numbers conservatively, so we can put $900 for that one. So $2,650 plus the $900,
$3,550.
$3,550. And now with the duplex, or the 3-1 and the detached unit, the 2-1 is rented for $675 already with a tenant. Okay, now this is a value add potential on this one because $675 is under market. So when that tenant is month to month as well, so they can be kicked out in a 30-day notice. Once they're out, we can get $900 on that unit. But let's run the numbers just with that $675. So we're at $4,225 plus. We're gonna get about another $1,350 on that same lot with the 3-bed, 2-bath. So puts us at about a rent rolls of $5,575 on a $385,000 purchase. So if we run the numbers on what our CapEx is going to be on this, right? Mm-hmm. Principal and interest, because you would be going 20% down on $385. Principal and interest would come out to $3,430 a month. Okay, and that is with principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and I've calculated a 15% maintenance, vacancy, and management fee within there. So CapEx total, again, 3,403, and total max potential of 5,575. So the delta, if you're looking at the difference, we're looking at 5,575 minus the 3,403. That's $2,172 in net per month times 12, 26,064. And your cash to close on something like this would be around, like, let's say 90,000, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at 28.96 cash on cash returns, best case scenario on something like this. Even if we build in a 5% buffer, right, we're still looking at 23 to 24% cash on cash returns. You know, if we look at a slightly lower gross rents on each of these properties.
And this is just going conservative, right? Conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservative, yeah.
Okay, so we're still above $2,000 a month in profit, and a conservative measurement.
Exactly.
Okay. Prime area, tenant demand. How are we looking like there?
Yeah, the crime is not too bad. It's just petty theft, which is not, you know, too concerning for us. Obviously, the precautions that we would take against petty theft is, you know, people like to come and steal your HVAC unit and stuff like that. You just need to put a cage around the HVAC unit, and, you know, they can't touch it.
Yeah. My question for you is, what do you think about the tenant demand? Do you think it'd be easy to place tenants given that market area?
We have a property manager who's certified down there, Rachel. Under her management team, arm, she has 196 rentals that she's managing for existing landlords. So she gave me a timeline on these properties in these areas for about 2 to 4 weeks to get rented out. So she always has a pipeline of tenants kind of ready to go. And this is a very, very strong market for Section 8 housing. There's always tenants looking for stuff, and they will rent it. And if it's nearly turnkey condition, they will rent it. It doesn't need to have brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom. If it's turnkey, they will rent. So that's one good thing.
And all properties are turnkey, right?
All properties are turnkey. We need to wait for the inspection report to fully verify, you know, what needs to be done. Do we need to lower the price, or do we need to have seller go and fix a bunch of stuff? But yes, from pictures, all properties are turnkey, but we need to fully inspect them to figure out if anything needs to be done correct.
Okay, then yeah, honestly, bro, I think sounds like a good offer. We're ready to pull the trigger. Honestly, how long would it take to send an offer?
We can send an offer. We could put it together, our terms. You know, since we are going 20% down DSCR, our buy is contingent upon inspection and appraisal, obviously, and then after appraisal is 14 days sent to underwriting. So it's going to take anywhere from 21 to 30 days to close. So we can send our highest and best. I'm pretty sure it should get accepted, because they have rejected a few offers that came in lower at like 350, 340. So this is a pretty strong offer. It should go, and the cash on cash returns look pretty solid on this one.
All right, then yeah, honestly, bro, I'm ready to pull the trigger. Let's do it.
Sounds good, bro. Let me lock it in. I'll send you the terms, and we can send over the signed contract over to the seller.
All right, let's do it.
As you find a realtor who has your best interest at heart, you have sent an offer and the seller has accepted, you will now be obligated to open escrow. Usually your realtor will give you the option to file an inspection report, and for my personal recommendation, I recommend everyone who is buying an investment property to file an inspection report. Usually what this does is you will be sending inspectors to the property to investigate if there's anything wrong with the property. They'll be checking the HVAC system, the electrical issues, the walls, the windows, the roofing, etc. And the goal here is you want to file this inspection because you don't want to buy the property, have issues with it, and then it'll ruin your cash flow because you have to fix these issues and realize the house was actually a piece of shit. You want to avoid running into these issues so you have a smooth buying process and you can prioritize your cash flow, and it should be smooth sailing. Here's a call I had with one of my mentors, his name is Guadam, who actually gave me a live rundown on one of my inspection reports for my $400,000 real estate property.
So right now I'm looking at the inspection reports. I'm noticing that on some of these properties, roof shingles need to be replaced. There's a drain pan missing on the water heater. There's no HVAC unit present. Some electrical system, some plumbing systems, but we're gonna see what exactly Wadham says and what he thinks we should do moving forward. Yo, what's good, bro?
Hey, Chris, how's it going, man?
Going good, bro. How are you?
Good. I got some updates for you, some news. So I just got the inspection reports back, and I wanted to go over them with you and kind of what my game plan is to kind of get all this stuff squared away on these properties.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
So just to preface this, I spoke to the inspector. Out of the 4 properties, all of them have brand new roofs except for Granada. So that's where the first point I have on Granada is some of the roof shingles need to be replaced. There's a drain pan missing on the hot water heater, which is a pretty small fix, but it prevents the hot water heater from functioning properly. There's no HVAC unit present, and the reason is because I believe the house is being sold with no actual furnace, central heat and air. So we're going to have to use window units on that one, which is totally fine. Section 8 tenants are totally fine with window units. Not every house that's up there for rent has central AC, so it's not a big deal. I didn't see anything get flagged about windows, broken windows and stuff, which is a good sign. So, this is stuff that I'm pretty sure the seller would be cordial about and fix all these things prior to close. And therefore, I don't believe we would have to do any price reductions, just because if all these items are fixed, then it's deemed to be turnkey at the time of close, and we can easily start renting them out. Now, what I'm going to do is I've already sent all these to you, the summary. You have the reports, and I'm going to send over all these repairs. I've already sent them over to the seller. Then we're going to do addendums of repairs, right? So that, essentially all these repairs are going to be done prior to close. Once those are signed, we can order appraisals. Appraisals will come in, and we'll see what needs to be done there, any price reductions or anything like that. And then we should be good to close. Now, on a timeline basis, a week prior to close, I would like to connect you with the property manager, Rachel, and we can put together a game plan on how we're going to quickly rent these out as soon as possible. And also maybe you could pay her $150 to go and walk each property from a property management perspective and give you her thoughts, because she's probably just going to be like, hey, we'll just get cleaners in there, $50 per property, clean them out, do a deep clean so it's ready for tenant showings. And then we can put together a full game plan and timeline when we're closer to close on how we can get these properties quickly rented out as soon as possible and money coming in.
Yeah, sounds good, bro. Let's do it then.
All right, Chris, thanks for your time, brother.
Me too, bro. Thank you. Not many issues going on with the property. Still a lot of potential for cash flow. Seller might fix up the property before closing. I think it looks good. I think I'm going to move forward with this. Now we just got to wait on appraisals. Then we got to wait for inspection to fully be fixed. And we're ready for closing.
And usually within the escrow process, if you're worried about losing money, there's actually a contingency in place when you open escrow that actually protect you as a buyer to avoid losing money. And what this is called an appraisal report. Usually how this works is the banks will now come and investigate the property and determine the actual value of the house. The banks never lose. The banks will look at the house and determine whether or not you are eligible to be able to receive the loan. Because let's put it like this. If the bank gives you a loan for $1 million, but the house is only worth $500,000, if you default on the payment for the house, aka your mortgage, the bank will now seize your property and be forced to relist it back into the marketplace, and they lost a $500,000 profit. So in this case, the banks will always file an appraisal report to see if the loan that they give you is actually worth what they give. They do not want to run into an incident where they make sure that if the property is foreclosed, they will not lose money. So in this case, you're actually protected as a buyer to make sure that your investment, assuming a worst case scenario, is essentially risk-free. And usually when you open escrow, you're actually required to pay an early money deposit. Usually this depends what the lender you are working for. Every early money deposit varies state by state, deal by deal, but you are required to send a little lump sum of cash to begin escrow. In order for you to be able to receive that deposit, there are 3 contingencies in place that will allow you to receive a refund for your early money deposit. These 3 contingencies being an inspection report coming back failed, an appraisal report coming back failed, or failing to get approved for the specific loan. If one of the reasons why you backed out of the deal falls out of those 3 contingencies, you will lose your early money deposit. So it is very important to understand that knowing these 3 contingencies will prevent you from losing money. Usually this process takes about 30 days, which leads me to step number 10. After you close escrow, you will now be required to send the remaining down payment given the structure of your loan. Usually this is done with your lender. You will now be obligated to find a property manager assuming you live out of state, which leads me to step number 11, finding a property manager. For those of you who don't know what a property manager is, these are essentially managers that are in charge of keeping contact with your tenant and be able to fix any issues that arise. Usually when it comes to finding a property manager, I like to ask these specific questions. What is the criteria for screening tenants? Do they have good credit? Do they have criminal background histories? Do they have any evictions or bankruptcies? Do they have proof of income? Ideally, you want to know what your tenant is, what type of client they are, to prevent trashing your house. Because unfortunately, you are obligated to pay any one of these issues that arise. And if you have a bad tenant who likes to break your windows, likes to break your HVAC machines, or likes to give you problems, unfortunately, it will cost you a lot more money in the long run by keeping them there. So it's very important to have some strict criteria in place to prevent getting bad tenants. I also ask, what is the cost structure? Ideally, you want to know how much money is it going to cost you to be able to place this specific property manager in place. And you also want to ask if there are any hidden fees. Some property managers like to charge you for screening tenants, and they like to charge you first month or half of first month's rent in full, which actually doesn't sound like too bad of a deal, but it all depends on the structure of the deal. You should aim for anywhere between 8 to 10% of rent for your property. But some property managers may vary, so it is very important to understand what the cost structure is and how much of their fees are you looking to pay. Then you should be asking, what is their turnover rate? Ideally, you want to figure out how long on average does each tenant stay. You ideally want to have tenants who work with property managers that have a long record of staying, because it is a hassle if the tenant has to leave and come back every now and then because of the fees that your property manager may charge you. You want to have tenants that stick around for a long term so you deal less with these ridiculous fees. And what I personally like to know is if they hire contractors or if they have their own maintenance staff. And the reason why I ask this is because some property managers have their own maintenance staff, sometimes will bill you cheaper than if they hire contractors. When something breaks in your house, depending on who your property manager calls, the cost of the rebuild will vary. Some property managers will like to upsell you if they hire contractors. So if they charge you $100 to fix the roofing, some property managers will charge an additional $50 fee to pocket that difference. And last but not least, I like to ask, how many clients are they currently managing? Ideally, if they're managing over 100 plus units, it shows that they have some experience. Anywhere above 500 is excellent. Anywhere under 100 shows that they are relatively new. But again, it is all up to you. If you think they have a lot of good qualities and they are very honest and sincere, then maybe it's worth a shot. If not, then I recommend going for a more experienced property manager. And if you heard the call with Wadham, you have heard that the property manager that I'm working with has over 190 clients, which is relatively a good sign that shows experience behind this property manager. Step number 12, finding home insurance. Usually some lenders during escrow will ask you for proof of home insurance, but in my most humble opinion, I don't recommend getting home insurance until after you close the property. I don't think it's the best idea in case you need to back out of the deal. Why would you be paying home insurance if there's a possibility that the deal might not close? So to find home insurance, I recommend to talk to many different options to see which one is going to give you the best deal and which one will also give you the best coverage. You want to start checking the policy of whatever that home insurance is willing to cover. If you are investing in specific states that have flood warnings, hurricane warnings, or storms, then maybe checking your insurance policy that covers those specific things is in your best interest. Now it's time to find tenants. Usually property managers are able to find tenants on their own, or you can use what I like to use, which is called a tenant placement agency. Or usually what other people do is they go and find their own tenants by listing on popular marketplaces. I prefer to do it the lazy way, so I either hire my property manager or I find a tenant placement agency to be able to place these tenants without requiring my commitment. And step number 14, you finally have a fucking property. So you went to this far in the video and you followed all the steps I listed in this video, you should now have a property that is producing positive cash flow. And if you're somebody who wants to buy their next real estate property and has the capital to actually do it, I'll be dropping you a connect to my guy Wadham, who actually helps me build my real estate portfolio. But you want to start learning higher income strategies to be able to buy real estate exactly like I'm doing, I'm going to be posting the link to the exact system that I'm using below. So click the link in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video and you drop some love in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.